Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. And today, the facilitator for today would be Udwak and Ella. So if you need anything, just send your message to them in the DM and they will attend to you. Okay, I don't know why that is, but I think we can go ahead with or without it. Okay, so I think it's up now. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at survey analysis response. And before we go on, I want to paint a scenario in our heads, right? I want you to move along this section with this scenario I'm about to paint. So imagine that a popular firm, a popular eco-friendly lifestyle firm approached you to analyze their recent campaign. And this campaign is like a survey. They carried out a campaign survey and they reached out to you to analyze this campaign survey targeted at millennials and Gen Zs. So they want a comprehensive report that will cover insights into people's willingness to participate in their eco-friendly campaigns. They want to know their level of engagement. And they also want to know if these people will be ready to invite others to join the campaign. This analysis we're about to carry out will help the firm understand the key motivations for people and some of the potential barriers that they are probably faced in the past or they would face in the future. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show us the data sets we are going to be using, and I'll be turning off my video so we can move right into it. So this is the data set, and this data set contains about 15 or 14 columns. We have the participant ID, we have interested in eco-friendly living, want to see people who are interested in eco-friendly living, people who are willing to participate in campaigns, and for people who are not willing, or even for people who are willing, people can be willing to do something, but when it gets down to it, they would not show up. So they also want to know the reasons why, people would most likely not show up for the campaign. So we have this reason over here, we have this reason, we have this reason, we have this reason. Then we want to know what their pain points are. Pain points can be things like the potential challenges they are possibly facing or will
Hello, we
go.
can't see what you are sharing now. We can't see the data set you are talking about.
Oh, okay. Let me do that again. Thank you for calling my attention to it. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yes, and you can please share it on the chat too, so we can follow it.
Sorry, what did you say?
We can see your screen now, but you can also share the data set on the chat group.
Oh, okay. I think Ella or Udwa could share the data set on the group, on the chat for everyone to see. Okay, so I was going through the different columns in the data set, and these are the pain points. Pain points are like barriers, things that would probably make them not even consider it at all. So the first thing I was talking about was the participant ID, people who are interested in eco-friendly living, people who are willing to participate in campaigns. And like I said, some people are willing to participate, but when it gets down to it, they're not going to show up. So they also want to know the reasons for that. And then we have pain points, and pain points are like potential barriers that they probably would face and how to support them. So these are like the needs. If you're facing this, what can be done to augment such challenges? What can be done to help cater for those challenges? And these are the needs. So need 1 caters for point 1 and need 2 caters for pain point 2. Then we have this, which is information and resources for eco-friendly advocacy, that we want to know, they want to know what people would most likely need to invite others to talk about eco-friendly living, to make people feel like, oh, I need to join this, or I need to join the next campaign, I need to do this, and I need to do that. right? So now that we are done looking at the data set, let's come here to Tableau and let me bring that data set into the view pane. I'm going to come here to my file and I'm going to come to open. So this is the data set. I believe this data set is in the mail sent, but I don't know if Ella or Udwak are available. I don't know if they've dropped the charts. It's in the chat box, but they should be able to drop the link to the data set in the chat box, just in case you didn't get the mail or something. Because I just saw a pop-up saying I didn't get the mail, something like that. Okay, so this is the data set. And the data set has been imported into Tableau Public. Everything we saw on Excel, this is it over here. Now we're about to go into the worksheet and start analyzing these data sets to see what we can make of it. And we're building a report. We want to build a report from these data sets. So I'm going to come over here to my worksheet, and we have all of the columns, all of the fields. We have all of them at this point. And the first thing I want us to look at is people who are interested in eco-friendly living. Like, how many people are interested in eco-friendly living? And for us to do that, we'll be looking at this interested in eco-friendly living field. Now, one of the things I also want us to look at in this data is that everything, we don't have any numerical values, right? Everything is either string or Boolean values, right? Yes or no, categorical values like need 1 and need 2, pinpoint 1, pinpoint 2, they are all categorical values. Resources, categorical values, interested in eco-friendly living, true or false, yes or no values. So we have this kind of data set and we need to analyze it. We don't have any numerical values. What are we going to do? The first thing I like to do for data sets like this is to create a numerical value for myself. Although Tableau already pre-created a value for us, and this is it, it generates the number of records in the data set, but I like to just create my own. So I'm just going to start by creating a calculated field. And I'm going to name this calculated field count ID. I'm going to count distinct. I'm counting distinct because in the next few minutes, we're going to see something I'm going to do that would require that we use count distinct, right? So I want to get the distinct patients, the distinct participant ID for every of the field we'll be working on. So I'm going to use distinct. If I want to see duplicates, I probably will just go with count and not count distinct. So I think Bolawon showed us how to look at the help pane, and count distinct returns the number of distinct items in a group. So I want to see the distinct item, the distinct participant ID. So I'm going to start by creating this count distinct calculated field. I have this field already. I'm going to bring in interested in eco-friendly living. Then I'm going to bring in count distinct, right? So this is what we have. 17 people are not interested and about 83 people are interested. Seeing this, the next thing I want to do is I want to visualize it. Do I use a bar chart or do I use a pie chart? I've decided that I want to use a donut chart to visualize this particular information. So the stakeholders or the people who reached out to us would see that, oh, 83 people are interested in eco-friendly living. So to create a pie chart, I'm going to start by creating a pie chart before creating a donut chart. So I'm going to come here to my automatic under the marks card, and I'm going to change this to a pie. Changing into a pie brings this out. I'm going to bring this and just place it on details. Placing it on details creates something like this, and this is already a pie chart that needs a little bit of tweaking. I'm going to bring count ID, and I'm going to place it on angles. Placing it on angles breaks down the pie in such a way that we can see the biggest portion of the pie and the smallest portion of the pie. This is already there, but we cannot differentiate it because we don't have color yet. So for us to be able to differentiate it based on the color, I'm going to bring this interested in eco-friendly living field, and I'm going to place it on color. Placing it on color gives us something like this. Now we can see the portion that is 83 and the portion that is 17. I'm going to place this on entire view, so it's big this way. Now we've created a pie chart. And next thing I want to do is I want to create a donut chart. And to create a donut chart, I'm going to use something called a placeholder. Israel showed us different ways of using placeholders. And I think for him, his favorite would be mean. So placeholders can be mean, max, average, sum, attrition, whatever it is, as far as, it's just a constant value, creating max cards for you. But my favorite placeholder function is average of 0. So I'm going to be using average of 0 throughout this session. And this is average of 0, creating a placeholder for me. So that I would not have to always do average of 0, I'm going to bring this field and I'm going to drag it to my left. I'm going to release my hand and I'm going to just rename this as PH, and PH means placeholder, right? If I click on this drop down and say edit, you would see that what's inside is average of 0. So we have this average of 0 here already, and this is the first one. I need to create another one to create a donut chart. So I'm going to bring in this placeholder field again, and I have 2 different fields. To create a donut chart, the next thing I have to do is to dual axis this. So I've dual axis this, and one of a good practice is to always synchronize your axis no matter the field type. So I'm going to also synchronize the axis despite the fact that it's 0, 0, to make sure that the 0 of the upper guy is the 0 of the lower guy. We have this all set, and I'm seeing lines everywhere. I don't want to always go over showing my lines, right? I don't always want to go over showing my lines and having to format it all the time. So in order to get rid of that, I'm going to come here to format, and I'm going to format my entire workbook. I'm going to come over here to lines, and I'm going to say grid lines off. I'm going to click on more, 0 lines off. Once I click off on 0 lines, you will notice that this tiny line at the middle would disappear. So 0 lines off. And this formatting is going to work for every worksheet on this in this workbook. So even if I create, like, I decide to create 10 worksheets or 20 worksheets, this particular formatting would work on each of them. I'm also going to come here to axis rulers, and I'm going to turn it off. I would prefer to turn on axis ruler if I need it. Then for ticks, notice that down here you're seeing this tick. I don't want it to be there, but there's no way to turn it off. Instead, I'm just going to reduce the opacity to 0, and you can see that this is gone. Before I close this format pane, I'm going to come here to choose my font, and I'm going to use this font. You most likely might not have this font on your system, and if you want to use the font, you can also use maybe Tableau Public or Tableau Medium or Tableau Bold or any font. But if you don't have this and you want it, just go to Google Fonts, go to Google, type Google Fonts, it takes you to Google Fonts, search for this particular font, download it, and move it to your fonts folder on your PC, and you'll be ready to go. So this font right now is going to also affect every workbook. Any worksheet I open on this workbook will carry that font. So this is a new worksheet, and when I double click on this, you'll see that the font type is that same font I selected. So that's one of the beauties of formatting your entire workbook. It helps you save time. I'm just going to delete this because I don't need it. Now we are still like getting these lines, and I also don't want the line. I'm trying as much as possible to do all my formatting on one sheet, so I don't have to repeat it over and over again. Over here, I'm on borders, and I'm going to come to row dividers. I'm going to click on none. Clicking on none, you'll notice that the divider up here and also down here disappeared. I'm going to come to column dividers, and I'm also going to click on none. And you can see that the dividers at the sides are also gone. Now we are free from lines and borders. Let's come here to untick header. So these guys are gone, and we still have this. I'm going to come here to this second guy, and I'm going to take out everything. I'm probably just going to leave count of ID, which is on label, because I would need to use it. Okay, I would also need to use this interested in blah, blah, blah field. Over here is what we're concerned with, because this is the pie. One other thing I like to do is to rename my placeholders. And the reason why I like to rename my placeholders The reason I like to do that is because sometimes I probably would close a particular workbook and I won't come back to it until maybe months later or weeks later. And I'm like, okay, maybe I have like 5 placeholders. And I'm like, okay, this first one is for what? I'll have to click it to see what the first one is for. In order to avoid something like that, I like to just give it a name. So to give it a name, I start with // So just click your / twice and give it a name. I'm going to give this pie because this is going to house my pie chart. And I'm going to do shift enter, then enter. Now you can see that this is pi. Anytime I open this workbook, I know that this is pi. I don't have to see pH, then I have to open it. Oh, what is this pH representing? I'm going to do the same thing for my second placeholder, // and I'm going to name this center, then shift enter, enter. And we have this way. Anytime you open this, you know this is for pi and this is for center. So for this right now, for pi, let's see what we want to achieve. I don't want to see the labels on the pie, so I'm going to take it out. I'm going to keep the color. I'm going to keep the size. I'm going to. Okay, so the next thing I probably would want to do is to increase the size of my center. So increasing the size of my center, this is how it's going to be. I can control it to determine the width of my donut chart. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make this white so it matches with the background color. And you'd also notice that I have 83 over here and I have 17 over here. But I don't also want to show the labels this way. I want to show the label inside the donut chart. What am I going to do? I'm going to come over here to label and I'm going to click this dot to text so I can see the text over here. Then I can start to like type what I want to see. But in order for us to save time, I already typed everything and placed everything in a Word document. I'm just going to navigate to the Word document right now. So this is what I want to see there. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to come back here to my Tableau Public and I'm going to place it there. Okay. So what's happening here is that my notations are different. So what I used to recreate this was count distinct of eco-friendly, yes. But I don't want to use this again. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to click on count distinct. Then I can take out this other guy over here. Then I'm going to click on apply. When I click on apply, just look at how it's showing. I'm also going to come here to alignment and place it at the middle. Okay, I'm placing this at the middle and I'm also placing this at the middle. And it's still showing this way. What am I going to do? If I allow labels, if I unclick label overlap, like it's still going to show the same way. If I click on this, it's not even making any difference or anything like that, right? Unless I click label, I untick label minimum value and that guy is gone. So I want this to be at the middle, but it's somewhere outside. I can just click on it right this way and drag it in. And it's still showing this way. It's still showing this way because it's still reading this as a pie. I should have changed this to a circle. So now that I realize that it's still reading it as a pie, I'm just going to come here to change it to a circle and I have it this way. If I Control Z, okay, so let me Control Z and leave it this way. Let me come here to change it to a circle. Now you can see that it's at the middle. So it's following exactly what I wanted, middle center. I'm going to come over here and I am going to align it to the center and apply. And we have this over here. So these are, I want them to see it. I want them to see that it's 3 out of 100 persons expressed interest. Now, how did I know that this is 100? I should have done that before now. So I'm just going to bring count distinct and I'm going to place this on text. And now I can see that we have 100 distinct participants. That's how I know that, you know, it's 100. Okay, so let's come back here. The next thing I would want us to do is color. What are we doing? What colors are we going to use? So we already know that these guys are eco-friendly lifestyle firm. So we should use a color that speaks to them. And because I want us to use a color that speaks to them, I went to Google and I I searched eco-friendly colors, and of course, I got plenty colors which I did not like, but I finally came across this particular color. Is it this one? Yes, this one that I liked. Immediately I saw this ocean breeze thing. I liked it. I felt like, oh, this really relates to eco-friendly living, water, ocean, blah, 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 and stuff like that. So I decided I was going to go with this color. Now I'm torn between going with the green, the aqua blue, or the brown. So I decided to go with the aqua blue. I need to get the X code of this aqua blue. There are several ways to get the X code, but the easiest way for me, as at the point when I saw this, was to use my picker on Tableau. So I started by dividing my screen into two this way so I can see both of them on the same pane. Then I clicked on my legend, came over here to yes, clicked on pick screen color, picked this, and I have my color over here. So I'm going to copy this color. I'm just going to Control X and Control V, trust issues, right? It's back. So I want to show you how to do custom colors. Custom colors are like very important, especially when you're working for a brand and you have to maintain their colors. You can't keep dividing your screen at every instance. You just want the color readily available for you. So to do that, one of the things I do is if I have I just have very few spaces left, and some of these colors are like very important to me right now. But I'm going to click on this white guy because white is not so important, and it's giving me the X code of the white. Now I've clicked on it and the X code is here, but I want to make sure that this white is this particular aqua color that we just chose, right? So it's on white. I'm going to come here and I'm going to take out everything and paste the color from before. Then I'm going to click add to custom colors. You can see that the color is now here. So I can always use this color whenever I want to. So I don't get confused, right? I'm going to come here and I'm just going to make it probably, let me just make it white also. So I'm just always going to use this one we just added. Okay. Let's just go F, 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 F. All right. Add to custom color. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. They are the same, but I just want to be sure that we're on the same page. FFF. So this is the color we are going to be using. I'm going to click OK, and yes. Oh, yes is white. So let's click this. Easy peasy. And yes is already this color. For no, I want to use gray. But I have a particular gray I like, and that gray is from Seattle Grays. The lightest shade of Seattle Grays is my favorite shade of light gray. So this is the gray we're going to work with. And now I can place this on entire view, and this is what I have. Another thing again is I like my stuff to come clockwise. Looking at this V's, you see that the 83 is coming anti-clockwise, and it doesn't really sit well in my head. I prefer that it's coming clockwise. And so because I prefer that it's coming clockwise, I'm going to take yes, and I'm going to move it up. Moving it up just places it this way, and I now have it coming clockwise, going towards 0. I don't need this legend, so I'm going to come here to hide this. I intend to create the dark theme version of this V's. And because I intend to create the dark theme version of this V's, I'm going to come over here to format. I'm also going to come to shading, and I'm going to make sure that my worksheet is on none. Putting worksheet on none means that this worksheet is transparent. It means whatever background I place it on is going to take the color of the background that I am going to place it on. And that's why I'm making the worksheet none. So now I'm trying to remember if there's any other formatting I have to do. Okay, there's also something I would like to show you. I do this a lot for my 2-tip, and I'm trying to just do everything on one worksheet. So as we go on, I'm just going to keep on duplicating. So when you click on this, you have something like keep only. Imagine this happens, and then your client calls you to say, hey, what happened? I clicked something and everything just went away. I'm just going to Control Z, and this came back. They also click, and then they click on exclude, and they're having this, and what is going on? We don't know what the problem is, and everything like that. I'm going to Control Z, and this is back. So in order to solve that issue and take that flexibility away from your users, what I like to do is to come to my tooltip and untick these 2 options. So unticking these 2 options, when I come back, you see that that option is not there. So they cannot exclude or keep anything. But because this V's is already explanatory, there's no need for tooltip. I'm also going to come back here to my all marks card and untick show tooltips. So we don't have to see any tooltips. So when I hover on it, we're not seeing anything, and I feel like this is good. I'm going to rename this interested. Now I'm going to go ahead to duplicate this sheet. Everything I'm going to be doing will be on the premises of this first sheet, you know, that so that I can keep the formatting, keep the tooltip setting and stuff like that. The next thing we want to look at now is the willingness. We already have that 83 people are interested in participating in this campaign, in participating in living eco-friendly lives. So 83 persons express interest in participating. Should be in living eco-friendly lives. So let's come over here to correct that. The 3 people indicated interest in eco-friendly living. So it should be eco-friendly living. All right, so we got that correctly now. 83 people, 83 persons express interest in eco-friendly living. Right, the next one is to look at the willingness. 83 people want to live eco-friendly lives, but how many of them are willing to campaign for eco-friendly lives, right? Eco-friendly living. So I'm going to come here to willing to participate the field, and I'm going to replace it with every interested in eco-friendly living field. I'm going to drag this and I'm going to place it on it. Once you see this black stuff, you know that, okay, this is ready to replace the field you're bringing in. I'm going to release my hand and you will see that this has been replaced. Now we have 60 instead of 83. All right. Let's come over here to the pie and let's do the same thing. I'm going to bring willing to participate. I'm going to place it on color and the color just changed. Then I'm also going to place this on interested. You'll notice that we do not need to change the aggregation because that's the same thing we're going to be using throughout. We're looking at the count of participants. So what is here is count of participants, right? The color has changed and we would want to change the color. How can we change the color? There are different ways to change the color. You can either come here to your color and click on edit and you have it over here. Come to yes, double click on yes. Now our custom color is sitting pretty. We click on it. We come over here to no, navigate to our Seattle grays and click on the lightest shade of Seattle gray. Click OK, and we have this over here. Now I need to swap it. How do I swap it? So in order to swap it, I'm going to bring in my legends and I'm going to come here to this particular card over here. Navigate to legend and click on color legend. So with this color legend, I can also change my color from here by double clicking on this, coming over here and changing the color. But we've changed the color already, so we don't need to do that. The only thing I'm concerned about right now is to make sure that my yes is moving in a clockwise motion, and moving yes up did the trick for me. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hide the legend. So we have this and we need to change the information inside. I'm going to come here to my Word document, copy this and go back to Tableau. Come here, come to label, come here, and I'm going to paste it. So let's just paste. Align it to the center. I'm going to apply. And this is the way it's looking. Recall that I said it's looking this way because the aggregations I used when I was creating the Word document is different from what I'm using right now. So I'm going to click on insert and I'm going to bring in this aggregation. I'm able to bring in this aggregation because it is already placed on text, right? I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to delete this guy. Just going to take it out. And now let's apply again and let's see. So 60 of the participants are willing to campaign. And so we have that 60 of the participants are willing to campaign. So this is what we have here. And for some reasons, I want to show that 60 is smaller than 83. So I thought of reducing the size of the donut chart. And to do that, I'm going to come to the pie and I'm going to reduce it a little, not so much, but just a little, probably just a little like this. And I have to also ensure that the width is the same with that other guy. So let me just, I'm not sure it's the same. Now I think it's too big. Okay, so let me see. I think this and this is about the same. This looks a little bit wide anyways. Let me bring it forward a little. Too small. I'm not even sure. Okay, I think this is perfect. And we have this, I'm going to rename this willing. All right, 2 charts done. Then I'm going to go ahead to also duplicate this chart. And now that this chart has been duplicated, what's the next thing we want to see? So they said they also want to see, they want to see the reasons, like potential barriers, reasons why people would most likely not avail themselves to campaign for eco-friendly living. And I want to see it in such a way that I have reasons down here, I have reasons here, and look at how reasons is showing. But I want something that looks like reasons, maybe the first reason, the second reason, the third reason, and I have a bar chart. But I can't achieve that because all my fields are like individual fields. They are not like in one place. They're not in one place. So I need to put all these fields, all these reason fields, I need to put it in a particular field. And in order to achieve that, I would have to pivot my data. So it's more like in Excel, when you pivot your data, you can have several things on your rows, and have like several things on your value shelf or your column shelf, something like that. So I want to simulate something like that over here in Tableau. And to achieve that, I'm going to come back here to my data source pane. And I'm going to come here to the first reason. So you can actually, if your fields are far apart, because it happens that your fields might be far apart, you can hold your control key and click on the next available point. But since my reasons are closed, I'm just going to come over here to click this one. And I'm going to hold down my shift. Then I'm going to navigate to the last instance of reasons I have. Then I'm going to click on it and I'm going to move this scroll bar. So you can see that all 4 of them, I have highlighted all 4 of them. So now I'm going to click this drop down and I'm going to click on pivot. Clicking on pivot would make sure that all the reasons are in a particular field. So look at what I have here. I have all the reasons in a particular field and I have their corresponding values in another field. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rename it because I don't want to see pivot's field's name, something like that. I'm going to rename it. And where were we? Okay, this is it. I'm going to click on rename and I'm going to say this is reasons, of course, reasons. I'm going to do the same thing for this guy. And this time around, I'm probably going to call it maybe reasons value or reasons response. Let's say reasons response. So reasons response. So I have the reasons and I have the reasons response. I'm going to come back here to this field I created. And before I come back here to this field I created, let me show you something. So this is the reasons over here, right? When I bring it into my field, it's showing this way. I'm going to place it on the entire view, so it's like big. It's showing this way. When I bring participant ID into the view pane, okay, I'm going to bring this in with the left side of my mouse and I'm going to place it on columns. When I click on count of participant ID, this is what it's showing me that everything is 100, 100, 100, 100, right? But what I want to see is, I want to see like the distinct guides for, okay, so I'm seeing 100, 100, 100, but if I change this to distinct, right? This is what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing 100, 100, 100. So I'm going to bring in the reasons response, and I'm going to place it on my filter shelf. I'm going to click on yes, because we're interested in seeing people who could say, oh, this is the reason why I'll probably not be available, something like that. So when I click on that, this is what I'm seeing for the distinct whatever. But when I place it on count, what would I see if I place it on count? So if I place it on count, it's still showing me this. But if I move this into my filter shelf right now, not this one, rather. If I move reasons into my filter shelf, and I'm like, what exactly do I want to see? Okay, probably I bring reasons here. And I'm like, okay, let me change this to a measure and let me see count of my reasons. So it's kind of like showing me very funny things that I really don't understand, right? So I'm like, okay. So this is showing me very funny things that I don't understand. I just want to be on the safe side. I don't want this thing showing me 400. So if I remove reasons now, and I have this guy, this is showing me 93. Then if I remove reasons of yes, this is showing me 400. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember that when I did count this thing the first time, it was showing me 100. So now coming in with counts, it's showing me 400. It means that my results will not be exactly what I want it to be. There will probably be some extras here and there, and I want to be certain that my report is correct. So in order to cater for those places where I would most likely have duplicate values, right? I decided that, okay, you know what, the solution to this is to come over here to use count distinct. So count distinct is going to count the unique values for every field, for every participant ID. It's going to count unique values. So you know that for participant ID 1, after coming here to pivot it, we would have participant ID 1 appearing 4 times. So look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have it appearing 4 times. And the reason why we have it appearing 4 times is because the reasons are now pivoted. So we have to see participant ID 1 for the first reason, participant ID 1 for the second reason. And I don't want to see duplicated values like this. And that's the reason why I decided that, you know what, the best way to cater for this is to use the count distinct. And that's the reason why over here in the numerical field I created, I used count distinct, right? When I click on this to edit it, you see that this is count distinct. To be on the safe side, you could also use count, but you wouldn't know when something goes wrong and you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not catering for the duplicates. And the duplicates are important because we need it to perform, we need it to look at the reasons why people will most likely not avail themselves for the campaign. So now that that has been said, I'm going to bring in reasons into the view pane. I'm just going to place it over here. And I sincerely don't need all of these placeholders again. So I'm just going to take it out. And I'm also going to take this one out. I just need count of ID, and I'm going to place count of ID here. So placing count of ID here, this guy is a circle. I'm going to say I want it to be a bar chart. And it's actually there, but you're not seeing it because the circle is white. So if I come here to make the circle this color, you're seeing it this way, and that's because of the size, right? So I can reduce the size of the bar to what I want, and I have something like this. Now for this bar, I don't want to do conventional bars, right? This is 100. So I'm going to bring reasons into filtered shell because we're interested in saying only the people charts over here, and I don't want to use like this conventional bar chart. I want to use a rounded bar chart. To achieve that, I'm going to bring in my placeholder and I'm going to place it over here. You would notice that you're seeing 2 green lines. Now these 2 green lines are established way of telling you you're about to create a blended axis. I'm going to drop it there. And this is what we have. This is a blended axis. Blended axis would only show you 1 marks card. And when you create a dual axis like we did here, you'd have 2 different marks card with 1 other marks card, which is like merging the 2 marks card together. So that's like one of the major difference between a marks card and a blended axis. Between a dual axis and a blended axis. For dual axis, you can create multiple visuals. For example, over here, we had a pie and we had a circle. But for the blended axis, you can either decide to use a bar or a line. You can't use a line and a bar. So we have this over here, and this is not even looking like what we want, but we are getting there. I'm going to come over here to this bar, and I'm going to say, I want it to be a line. And look at how the line is looking. The line is going from north to south. That's not what we want. So I'm going to bring these measure names and I'm going to place the measure names on parts. Placing the measure names on parts would allow Tableau know that I want this thing to move from the smallest value to the largest value. And recall that my placeholder is average of 0. So average of 0 definitely is the smallest value over here. So I'm going to place this on parts, and now we have a straight line. So this is just looking like a straight line, but Kenny, you said you want to create a rounded bar. What am I supposed to do now? What I'm going to do is just to come over here to size and increase it to this. And this is the biggest size Tableau can offer me. What if I want this size to be bigger than this? What if I want the width of, is it the width right now? Not the width. Okay, I think it's going to be the height. What if I want the height of this rounded bar to be higher than this? You know, what am I going to do? So the simple trick is to also come with a placeholder, but this time around, we're going to be using average of 3. So you can use any number. 3 is just the number that came to my head. So I came in with average of 3 and it's automatically went to details. I can just come over here and change this to size. And changing into size, Tableau is like, all right, you got me, you got me. This can be bigger than this. Now Tableau has given me something very big and I'm like, oh my God, this is too big. But I have the ability to control the size, so I can reduce it and increase it to whatever I want. I'm just going to leave it at this point. If it needs to be bigger or smaller, we're going to come back here to get that done when we move to the dashboard. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to hide the card, and I'm also going to hide this because I don't want to see it. So now we need to see labels, right? How do we do the labels? I'm going to come with my counts of ID field and I'm going to place it over here on labels, and look at it. It's just showing on the first one, and that's not what I want. I want it to show on all the bars, right? And that's because, you know, when I duplicated the field on the other one, we unticked minimum value. So right now, clicking both minimum and maximum is showing on the minimum and on the maximum. But I want it to show on the line ends. And making it show on the line ends now is showing at every point of each line, the start and finish of each of the reasons. I don't want to show at the start, I want to show at the end. So I'm going to untick start of line. Okay, so now that I untick start of line, this means that this is count here and this is pH here, which is average of 0. I can either decide to tick this one and untick this one and it happens this way, or I can say no, this is just probably overdoing ITK, but I can just come over here to bring this down and it's now at the end. So whatever works for you, as far as you know, you can get the job done. So we have this over here, and let's say we want to say, okay, let this be 11 and let this be bold. So I have something like this, and definitely is an automatic. I'm going to take this out because I don't need the label, and I have something like this. I'm going to come here to right click on format, and I'm going to align it to the left. I want it to be aligned to the left this way. And I have something like this. So now it's easy for our clients to see that, oh, okay, expensive product services is the reason why people would most likely not want to do eco-friendly living and want to come out for campaigns. One thing I also want to do is I want their eyes to be drawn to just the maximum value and not the other ones. So I want to make the other ones gray and make the maximum value retain this color. I can do that manually, but I'll have to keep doing that manually for all the other fields that we're going to do, or all the other visualizations, or all the other sheets that we're going to create using this particular one. So in order to combat that, I'm going to create a calculated field, and I'm going to use a function called Windows Max. So for those of us who are familiar with SQL, Windows Max works like the way the Windows function in SQL works. I'm going to come in with Windows Max. And so if we read over here, you'd see that it returns the maximum of the expression within the window, which is similar to the Windows function in SQL. And over here in Tableau, the window is whatever is on the view pane. This is the window is looking at. So it's looking at these values, right? So I'm supposed to start with the expression, then maybe a start and end, and this start and end is not necessary, except you really want to show, you know, when you have a lag, or when you have lag, or when you have lead, something like that. But since we don't need anything like that, I'm simply going to come in with counts of ID. And the reason why I'm coming in with count of ID is because count of ID is already an expression. It is count distinct of participant ID. If I was just coming in, for example, if I had just profits and I'm coming in with profits, I would come in with sum of it, or I would come in with average of profit, something like that, right? But since this is already an aggregated function, I cannot aggregate it again. Okay, so let's just try. Let me try to aggregate it. You'd see that Tableau would say something like you cannot aggregate an aggregated function, something like that. So let's see. So you see, argument, average, an aggregated function is already an aggregated function and cannot be further aggregated. So this cannot be further aggregated. I'm going to take this out. And we have this. Aha, we're not yet done. So another thing I want to do is want to tell Tableau that find the maximum function, find the maximum participant ID or the count of participant ID on the view. Then when you find this, check if it is equal to the count of ID on the view. If it's equal to the count of ID on the view, return true. If it's not, return false. But right now, I don't need to do return true or return false because Tableau already reads this as a Boolean calculation, which means the answer can either be yes or no. And if the answer can either be yes or no, I can as well leave it like this. I'm going to click OK. Before I click OK, let's give it an appropriate name. I'm going to give it probably, okay, let me say participant marks. Okay, so participant marks. And I'm going to click OK. Clicking OK over here, you would see that Tableau already is showing us that this is a true or false field, which means the answer can either be yes or no. It can either be true or false. Now that we've established that, I'm going to bring this participant marks and I'm going to place it on color. So we have it on color and now we can see our true and we can see our false. I'm going to double click on the legend and our true definitely would be this aqua green and our false will be Seattle grays, the lightest shade of Seattle grays. So over here, lightest shade of Seattle gray, and I'm just going to click on OK. So we have this way and we are almost done. Next thing I want to do is to bring in the title. So I'm going to come back here to my word, and I think this is it. Challenges to eco-friendly living. Not challenge. This is challenges to eco-friendly living. I think yes, that's it. I didn't call it reasons. Okay, so let's navigate back to Tableau, and I'm going to paste. So over here, I have challenges to eco-friendly participation. This is the same font. So look at it, it's the same font size 15. And I am using the lightest shade of gray on the white box, right? And for this other one, it's actually the green we've been working with. So for example, if you're recreating this and your green is not showing here, what you can do is you can highlight the field this way or the text this way, come to more colors and pick screen color is a lifesaver. So just pick the screen color, click OK, and you're good to go. So you can just come here to click apply. And this is how it looks. So I think we are fine. I'm just going to click on OK. Okay, before we move further, I'm going to come back here to format. I want to be sure that I'm comfortable with this color. Should I go with the second or should I go with the third? Okay, let's go with this one. Let's leave it at the second one. So we are good with this, and I'm going to come here to hide this because we don't need it. Now, let's call these reasons. I'm going to duplicate this field. And for this next one, we're going to start looking at the pain points. So we've looked at the willingness to participate. We've looked at those who are interested. We've also looked at the reasons. Now let's start looking at the pain points. And for the pain points, I'm going to bring pain points and I'm going to replace it. I'm going to replace reasons with pain points. So it follows the same thing like we did here. Once you see the black stuff, you know that, okay, this is ready for me to release my hands. And now we have for pain points. Notice that the green color changed to unaware of its importance, and that's because this participant marks is dynamic. Before we move over, I remembered something. This has reasons, which I feel like it's repetitive. There's no need for reasons since we already know that we're looking at challenges. And there are different ways to take it out. You can either come to the field over here, click on the drop down, come here to aliases, and for your aliases, come here to this guy and just take it out this way. I'm going to click OK, and you would see that, where is it? Difficulty in accessing product services does not have reasons again. But my favorite way of doing this is to right click and come here to edit alias. And the reason why I like to do this is because I can just see everything straight up like this without having to move left or right. Okay, so let's just do the same thing for the other guys. Not format. I'm supposed to click on alias. Edit alias. Okay, there we go. All right, so far so good. We are creating magic with a pure string and Boolean value data set. I'm not done with this, but let's name this pain point. So PP1, pain point 1, measure values. I don't want to use rounded bars for this one. I just want to use normal traditional bars. So I'm just going to bring count of ID here and I'm going to take this one out. All right, this is online. I'm going to come back here to place it on bar chart and take out the average of 3. Then I'm going to reduce the size to, we can always come back to increase the size of the bars depending on, how they look on the view. So let's format this and let's align it to the left, right? Align it to the left. All right, so we are done with this. And I'm going to sort this from high to low. I'm also going to take this out. Now we have this. I want to bring in my labels and I want to make sure that my label is at the tip over here. If I come here to label and I click on show labels, you'd see that this is at the middle, right? Because it's middle center. If I click it on right, if I place it on right, you'd see that it's outside. And if I place it on left, you'd see that it's inside. And this is a big problem because I don't want it to be in any of these positions. I want it to be just somewhere here inside. So to achieve this, I'm going to duplicate this field. I'm going to bring in count distinct again. And I have 2 different bar charts, which is not exactly what I want, but I'm going to dual axis this. Then I'm going to synchronize it, just good practice. And I am going to untick show header, I'll be tick show header, then untick show header so that those guys are gone. It's still down here, which is fine. So for this first one, I'm going to take it out. And for this second one, I have my stuff here. But it's a bar chart. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make this a Gantt bar, right? The Gantt bar is actually there, but you're not seeing it because it's the same color. So look at the Gantt bar. This is the Gantt bar over here. When I click on this is very tiny thing. Is the Gantt bar. So the Gantt bar is there. Oops, I have to bring in my header. I don't like this space there. So because of that space, I'm going to come here to show header. Ctrl Z. I'm going to come here and I'm going to edit my axis. Then I'm going to make sure that this is starting from 0. All right, now I'm going to close this. So you can see that it's already inside. This is inside because it is at the middle left of the Gantt bar. So if this is the Gantt bar, left is inside, right? So this is just like a trick. Now we can untick show header and this is what we have for pain point 1. Let's fix the title for pain point 1. And this is my title for pain point 1. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and move back to Tableau. So let's come here. The formatting is actually the same thing. The upper one is the lightest shade of gray on the white block, and the one at the bottom is the green we are using. Font 15 for the one at the top, and I think font 9. Font 9, yes. Font size 9 for the one at the bottom. So I'm just going to paste, and I'm going to click on apply, and this is what we have. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to repeat this same process for... Sincerely, I don't even think we need this response of yes, but let me take it out first. Okay, taking it out. Okay, that means we need it. That means it's showing us yes for people who say that this is the reason why they want to be among. I'm uncertain. So because I'm uncertain, I am going to come here to view my data again. Let me understand why I need the yes. I really am uncertain of that. So let me just see. Pain points. I'm not sure I need this yes. But then I'm also not sure of what I'm supposed to do right now. Okay, so pardon me. Let me think through this again before we continue. What is this showing me? This is not showing me anything to even start with. Okay, so let me come here to enable my 2T. I can't enable it from here. I'm going to come over here to enable it from the all. Let's see. The other fields are not, it's not even showing me. My Gantt bar is gone. Wow, what's going on? Okay. Let me bring my response back. And for those that are saying yes, let me come back to view the data. Let me be sure that what we are doing is correct. Okay, so it's correct. Okay, so look at this. Participant ID, reasons, people that are saying that pain point 1 is part of the reason why they are like they are not going to go further with the eco-friendly living. So I have one, and one is just repeated for the pain points. Where is pain point just now? Too much effort, too much effort, too much effort, too much effort. Okay. So I think we are good, but a little bit of trust issues. So I'm just going to bring pain point back here, and I'm going to say, make this a measure and make this count. I want to be sure that this guy is giving me the same thing. So I'm going to bring it up here. And let's see, it's not giving me the same thing. Haha, of course. So I'm going to take this one out. What can be the reason why it's not giving me the same thing? So let me see. What do I have here that is related to those guys? Okay. I'm also going to take this one out. Okay, so let's go ahead with it. Let's start afresh. So instead of count, this will be count distinct, please. This will be count distinct. I'm going to take this out again and bring it back in. So I'm going to bring pain point 1 back. And I am going to, I know it's supposed to give me something like 37. Count distinct is giving me 1. And what is count giving me? Count is giving me 148, which I think is also wrong. So I'm going to bring response back here. And I'm going to say yes. And what is it giving me? So I think this is the correct one, not the 16 and 11 we're having back then. So it's counting this based on the reasons why people are not joining. And I think it's going to be basically the same thing, but let me come back here and let me open the Excel file. Where's the Excel file? Okay, so this is the Excel file over here. So permit me to just do something very, very little fast. Opening a new worksheet. Let me bring in pain point 1. And let me also bring in pinpoint to the rows. Okay, so that's correct. All right, I can close this 31, 32. Don't save. Let's come back to Tableau. So we're going to go over the process. I'm going to duplicate this way. And dual axis this. I just needed to be sure so we know we are doing the right thing. All right, dual axis this and synchronize axis, just best practice. Then I'm going to come here and I'm going to switch this to a Gantt bar. So the Gantt bar is there, like I said earlier, we're just not seeing it. I'm really not liking this two-tip thing. So I'm going to take it out. All right. Now let's bring count of this. I'm just going to hold down my control key and I'm going to place it on label. Hold down my control key, drag it in and place it on label. Okay. So we have this way. All right. Let's come here and let's also edit the axis. I need to take this guy out. It's doing me the more you look, the less you see. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out. I think what I can do is to count, if I count the extent of pain points, okay. Pardon me, I just need to look at this thing again. Something in me feels like something is wrong. And I'm trying to trace it. Okay, let me open a new worksheet. Open a new worksheet. Bring pain points to the view and bring count the extent to the view. This is correct. I knew something was wrong. Okay, so this is where we are. Haha, we're going to have to redo this thing again. Okay, I'm just going to replace it this way, and I'm also going to replace this one because I knew that bringing in the response is giving us something that I really cannot understand. So I'm going to take out all of this to be sure that we are doing the right thing. Okay, so now it's working. Okay, I think the problem was how was this reading? I think maybe it's reading it somehow that I don't know. But this is the correct thing. This is showing as 37, this is showing as 32, and this is showing as 31, which is what we saw on Excel. So this is correct. And this is one of the things that you go through or you face as an analyst. You have to be sure that what you're doing is correct. You don't want to do what you assume is correct, and at the end of the day, you're giving them the wrong data. So I'm happy we've been able to figure it out. We don't need the response because the response is not related to people's choice of pain points. And okay, the Gantt is here and the bar chart is here. What do I want to do now? Okay, so I think I can continue. I hope I did not get anybody confused. So let me just continue. I'm going to bring the marks participant. I'm going to place it back on color. Now this shows you that the Gantt is there. So you can see the green lines on the Gantt. I'm also going to do the same thing for this other guy. I'm going to place participant marks on Gantt, and this is now working. So I'm going to bring count distinct and I'm going to place it on label, and this is correct. At least this corresponds with what we saw on Excel. I'm going to edit my axis and make sure it's starting from 0. Okay, so this is it. Okay, now I'm going to untick the header, and this is what we have. So pain point 1 is now correct. I'm going to delete pain point, what is supposed to be pain point 2, and I'm going to duplicate this one. Then I'm just going to replace it with pain point 2. I'm just going to sort it from high to low. Okay, format and make sure it's aligned to the left. Okay, so pain point 2, this is the stuff for pain point 2. Control C. Okay, so if you look at this, you'll see that people are unsure of the relevance, people are not personally affected. And these subheadings, I was one that gave you these subheadings. Like I looked at the options, feels too distant, and I was like, what can capture this? I just felt like, okay, perceived relevance of eco-friendly, blah, 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 is like the best thing that captures what this pain point is talking about. I also did the same thing for this one. And if you look at it, it doesn't fit into daily routine. They are unaware of the importance. And I felt like barriers to daily eco-friendly actions for participants is what captures this particular pain point. So I'm going to rename this as pain point 2. Okay, I'm going to rename this as pain point 2. And I'm going to duplicate this again. We're almost done. Like at this point, we're just going to duplicate again and one last sheet before we start building the dashboard. This one will be for need 1. I'm just going to replace it this way. And I'm going to rename it need 1. Sort it from high to low. Make sure it's aligned to the left. Come to this guy and pick the solution. So this first solution, so pain point 1 talks about barriers to eco-friendly living, and the need 1 is looking at what will make participants more engaged to carry out eco-friendly actions, to make sure that they are doing this thing, they are really living by this thing. So you can see that want easier daily eco-friendly actions, require quick wins to stay motivated, need simple ways to start. I'm going to duplicate this also. You can see that because we already did the formatting on this first sheet, we do not need to keep doing it over and over again. And this has saved us a lot of time. I'm going to replace need 1 with need 2. I'm going to sort it. This is one of the advantages of using a calculated field also, especially for when you want to make sure that the maximum value is colored. You can see how I'm effortlessly duplicating without having to look at, oh, is it really highlighting it? Or do I need to do something to highlight it personally and stuff like that? So I'm just making sure that this is aligned to the left, and need 2. Let me come back over here and let me pick this other one. Copy. Control O, Control V. Oops, I didn't copy it completely. Oh, wow. Okay. Control C. And Control O, Control V. Okay. All right, so this is it. This one is not showing. Has it been like that all this while? So this is showing, and this guy is not showing. Let me see if it's a space thing. I'm going to place it on the entire view, and it's not a space thing. I can't seem to figure out why that one is not showing. I can't even find the Gantt bar here. Okay, I think I know what the issue is. That's the issue. Okay. So I'm going to show the header again, and I'm just going to take out 0. So the reason why that was not showing is because from the last one, the maximum value was not up to 40. So now that the maximum value is over 40, it's just truncated the axis, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make it 0. So this is what I was trying to explain. Let's say the other one was 37, if I remember correctly. So 37, this was what happened. It didn't create space for that one. That's what happens when you use fixed end. So most times I just want to use independent end. So the end changes according to whatever field you put on the view pane. All right, now we can come here to untick the header. And this is what we have here, campaigns to see if tangible wants measurable results. Okay, so this is it. And this is need 2. So the last but not the least, these we'll be creating before we move into the dashboard creation process. Okay, not the last but not the least. If there's time, we'll do the dark mode. So for this one, we have this last field over here, and this field is like saying what kind of information and resources can we provide for eco-friendly advocacy. So they want people to be able to say, oh, if you give us this, we might kind of consider, oh, if you give us that, I can decide to talk to my friend, to join, even as I join. So that's what we want to look at now. I'm going to bring in resources and I'm going to replace it with need. And this is what we have. But what I want is, I want to see it as a shape. So because I want to see it as a shape, I'm going to take out all these guys and I'm going to bring in my placeholder. I'm just going to leave my placeholder this way. And instead of Gantt, I'm going to make it shape. Then I'm going to bring information and resources and I'm going to place it on shape. I'm going to take participant marks out. I'm going to leave this guy here. So look at how it's showing. It's showing this way at the bottom. I don't want it to show that way. I want it to show according to the size of, I want it to show like just underneath the shapes. And I also want these shapes to be as big as, to be big according to their values, right? I'm going to also untick this header. I'm going to come here to untick this header because I don't want to see it that way. I want it to be just right underneath the shape. And I want the shape to be big according to the size of the people who say, oh, this is what I want. Oh, that's what I want. So to achieve that, I think I can also bring in count the extent of participant ID, and I can place that on size. I'm placing that on size. This is what I get. I can increase the size to make sure that it grows bigger. I want something, I want something colorful. Because I want something colorful, I went to flat icons. I went to flat icons over here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to increase this view. And I came here to search for guidance. I searched for guidance and I saw this image. I liked it. I downloaded it. I came here to search for information because when we look at Tableau, okay, I've taken it out, but let me bring it back so you would understand why I'm searching for those keywords. So this is need resources, this is need seek guidance, and this is want more information. So I picked the keywords, information, guidance, and resources. Then I came to flat icons, flaticons.com to search for information. I didn't want to use this conventional information icon, and I wanted something colorful also. I wanted something colorful. So I saw this, I liked it. I scrolled further. I saw this and I like this one. I decided to finally go with this one because it's like very colorful. I did the same thing for resources. I think I saw this and I liked it. I think that was the one I downloaded. Is that the one I downloaded? I think that was one I downloaded. That one at the beginning. This one, I think it's this one. I saw it and I liked it also. I downloaded it. And one of the things you would also notice is that all of them follow the same kind of structure. So if you look at this, it follows that it's people and their outlines are not so thick. And if you also look at this one, the outlines are not so thick. So you don't want to go with something this thick and then the next thing you're going with is something this light. It's kind of might look somehow, but you want to make sure that you're trying to maintain the consistency or probably the outline or whatever you're working with. So after doing this, it went straight to my download folder, of course, and I needed it to be on my shapes. And because I needed it to be on my shapes, I had to pick everything from my downloads folder and I placed it in a folder because I wanted it to be in a folder of its own. So let's say that it's on my download folder and I already placed it in my folder. I came over here to documents, and it's always going to be on your document. At least I believe most of the pieces I've used, everything, Tableau repository is always on your document. So go to document and navigate to Tableau repository. You would see all of these things over here. Navigate to shapes, and these are like all my shapes. I brought it in, I placed it in a folder. I remember that I placed it in a folder before bringing it in. And now I'm trying to look for the folder. I think the folder is, this is it, Gen MZ. So this is like everything. I just downloaded everything, and I kept it in this folder. Now that it's in this folder, I can simply go back to my Tableau and I can say, reload shapes. So let's just go over there. Let's see it. I'm going to come back here to Tableau. Then I'm going to navigate over here to my shapes. I'm going to come here to click reload shapes. So when you click on reload shapes, Tableau recognizes if there is any new thing there. And this is the folder Gen MZ. So now I know for people who want resources, this is the icon I want to go with. For people who want guidance, this is the icon I want to go with. And for people who want more information to influence others, this is the icon I want to go with. I'm going to click on apply. And this is it over here. And I feel like this is not big enough for me. If it's too big, we are going to come back to reduce it, right? Okay, this is too big. Maybe a little bit like this. All right, something like that. And this is what we have. But look at where these things are. I don't like them that way. Remember I said I want it to be at the bottom. So what can I do? I already have something mapped out on my Word. I think this is it over here. So I want to show the number and say, oh, this number of participants want this, something like that. So let's come here to label. And I'm just going to Control All and paste it over here. I want this one to be at the middle this time around. So I'm going to click on apply. And this is how it looks. And of course, this other one at the bottom is not showing because it's not on the label yet. So I'm going to bring it in and I'm going to place it on label. Placing it on label, you can see that it's showing now. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say I want it to be at the bottom. So wanting it to be at the bottom, this is how it looks. And I also want it to be at the middle. So be at the middle, horizontally be at the middle, vertically be at the bottom of the shapes. So this is what I want. Then I can come back here to take out the header because I don't want it. Somehow it kind of looks a little bit close. And I think I came back here to my label and I just added maybe 1 line or 2 lines. If it's too much, I'm going to come back here to remove it. I think one line will be good. Okay, so we have this over here and this is it. Let's go get the title. I think this is the title I give it. Yeah, this title. So I'm just going to Control C this and come here. Let's just paste this over here. Control O. Oh crap. Control O, Control V. Okay. So now let's apply. And this is what we have. Whoo! Now we are done creating the sheets. What do I call this? Probably advocacy. All right. I'm going to delete this since we don't need it. I'm also going to delete this since we don't need it. Allow me save my work. So I'm going to save as Tableau packaged book. I'm doing this because some persons reached out to me to say, oh, I can't save. I'm not done with my work and I don't want to publish it to Tableau public. Tableau has now been generous to us. We can save locally to our PC, and this is how you can do that. Just give it any name of your choice, right? I'm just going to use Jen, and I'm going to save. So we've now saved it. This has been saved to my local device, and I don't need to publish it until I'm done with it. All right. Now let's look at the dashboard I want to create. I already did something, and this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at having the header that says, oh, this is what this is about. Then the 2 donut charts, the reasons over here, pain point 1, pain point 2, pain point 1, need 1, pain point 2, need 2, and then the shapes down here. That's this last sheet we just created. So let's look at how we can recreate this and get this done. I'm going to come over here. I'm supposed to create a dashboard, not a sheet. So let me delete this. Come here to dashboard. Come over here. I'm going to make it fixed. And this is going to be very long and also very wide. So the width should be around 1.13. and the height should be around 2060. Very long. All right, so I'm going to first start by bringing in a vertical container, and my vertical container is right here. I'm going to click outside. So this is the vertical container, and this is like the outer padding that the dashboard has created for us. I'm going to click outside of the vertical container. So you can see that this is the vertical container, and I'm clicking outside of the vertical container. I'm going to come over here to my layout, and I'm going to give this my background. I want something very light, and this does not do justice to what I want. So I'm going to come here to my more colors. Oh, okay, so this does justice. F5, F5, F5. I think that's what I want. But I'm still going to reduce the opacity because I don't want it to be, I want it to be something that is very close to white. So let's use 69%. So this looks like it's very close to white already, and I think I'm fine with that. Next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my text, and putting it this way means it's entering the vertical container, but I don't want it to enter the vertical container. So I'm just going to place it above it, and I'm going to bring in the title of my dashboard, and the title of my dashboard is down here. I'm going to copy this and come back to Tableau. I'm just going to paste it here, Control All, and I'm going to make this to be at the middle. Something is wrong with this guy down here. I'm going to come back to check it. That font doesn't look exactly what I want it to look. Okay, so this is it, and I am going to move this up to whatever I want it to be. So let's come here to the layout, and this is what we have. We're going to make sure that the color is the same sea blue we've been working with. So the background color is going to be this. Okay, I think the color makes sense. And this is fine. Probably I can just bring it down a little. All right, this is good. Now look at this tiled. This is the vertical container, and this is the sheet we have here. So you can see that the sheet is not inside the vertical container. Okay, next thing I'm going to bring in is, I'm going to bring in blanks. So Bolaon and Israel taught us how to create white spaces in our dashboards using paddings, which are very good. Like paddings are like my go-tos, but I want to show us how to do that with blanks. So I'm going to be showing us how to do that with blanks. I'm going to bring in a blank, and a blank is just a blank, like it sounds, a blank. I don't want this to be in the vertical container also. I want it to be outside the vertical container. So when you bring something in and it's showing halfway this way, you know that it is not inside your container. So this is my blank, and I'm just going to reduce it. I think this is 32 already, just looking at it. Come to my layout, that's 32, right? I'm going to repeat the same thing for these sides, and I'm just trying to create spaces for the sides because I don't want to use paddings. I'm going to repeat the same thing for this side. All right, and this is it. So let's come back here to layout, and let's see what we have. You can see that the blanks are not inside the vertical container. So this is blank 1, and this is blank 2, giving us this space at the middle. Now let's go into building our dashboard. This is what we want. Where is it? This is what we want. The first part, the second part, the third part, and the one at the bottom, right? So we have a vertical container. And one of the reasons why it's wise to start with a vertical container is because vertical containers allows you to place things on top of each other. And this object or these shapes here helps for better understanding. Vertical container on top of each other, and horizontal container by the side of each other. So let's start. This is my vertical container. I'm going to start by bringing in a worksheet. This worksheet is already inside this vertical container, which is exactly what I want. Then I'm going to bring in an horizontal container. And the reason why I'm bringing in an horizontal container is because I want the pie charts and the reasons to be side by side. So I'm going to bring in this horizontal container, and I'm placing it down here. You will notice that you can see a faint gray line at the bottom, a faint gray line. When you're seeing this faint gray line at the bottom, you know that it's about to enter inside the container. If it's something like this, you know that it's not inside the container. But if it's something like this, very tiny, you know that it is inside, it's going inside the container. If I place it this way, it's going to be a vertical container. If I place it underneath this way, it's going to form an horizontal, no, pardon me. If I place it this way, it's going to be an horizontal container because it will allow me put things side by side. But if I place it underneath, it will be a vertical container because it will allow me place things on top of each other. And I want to place things on top of each other. So I'm going to leave it this way. And I have this guy sitting pretty here with the worksheet up. We don't need the worksheet for anything. I just like to bring in the worksheet because the worksheet helps us to define exactly what we want. I'm going to reduce this and I have this over here. I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to bring in another horizontal container and I'm going to place it at the middle. So I have this horizontal container at the middle. And one thing I like to do also is to give it borders. And the reason why I give it borders is so that I know that something is there. Like, oh, something is here, right? I can also give it white because I want orange. I want the background to be white. So it's distinct from the background color. So I'm going to make this white. So it's either you give it a border or you give it a color, especially if you're working with a color. But since I'm working with a color, I'm just going to give it white. So I know that, okay, something is there. I'm going to come back here to my dashboard and I'm going to bring in a blank. Remember that I said I want to show us how to create spaces, white spaces using blanks. So this is a blank and I'm going to bring in another horizontal container. I'm going to place it at the middle. If I'm placing it inside this way, it means it's inside the container, but I don't want it to be inside the container. So I'm going to place it at the middle this way and I have another container over here. This is an horizontal container. Right, do I have any container underneath it? Let me come here to my vertical container. So this is my vertical container. I have an horizontal container and I have another horizontal container, which is this one over here. And there's what's under. There's something inside the horizontal container. Now what I was trying to avoid. So I'm going to Ctrl Z until I don't have anything inside, right? So this guy, let's make it white also. So we know that something is up when something is up. Okay, the first one, the second one. For the one that will be at the middle, I'm going to bring in a vertical container. And I hope this is a vertical container I'm bringing in. So I'm going to come here. Yeah, it's a vertical container. And I'm going to make it white. Now this bottom part, for the middle there, to create our white space, I'm going to bring in the blank. And this is what we have over here. We already have the structure of the dashboard in place. And I don't need this one. I just brought it in to help me with my whatever. And now this is it over here. We have the first portion, second portion, and the third portion, all containers. Let's start looking at what we want. I already have a particular height for this, but most times when you're building, you really don't have the height in mind. You have to keep doing trial and error until you get what you want. But because I already have the height in mind for this, I'm just going to go with the particular height I have in mind, which is 434. Then I'm going to bring in my reasons. I'm going to place my reasons inside. Now you can see that my reasons is inside. I'm going to bring in a vertical container and I'm going to place it by the side. This vertical container is by the side. If I bring it this way, it is not inside the container. If it's this way, it is inside the container. So I'm simply going to do it this way. And this is a vertical container. Inside this vertical container, I'm going to bring in a worksheet. And this always works for me. Then I'm going to bring in a text and I'm going to place the text up. I think I have a title for the text and this is it over here. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to copy the text. I'm going to come back here to Tableau and I'm going to paste it inside. I want this one to be at the middle this time around. You'll notice that the formatting is the same, like everything is the same. I'm not changing the size. I'm not changing the color. I'm maintaining the same thing, just changing the words, right? So now that I have this over here, I'm going to bring in an horizontal container and I'm going to place the horizontal container at the middle. I'm going to place it at the middle. I can also bring it in, but for some reasons, I like to just take it out and do it this way to be sure that I'm on the safe side and I'm not making any mistakes. So I have this first and I'm also going to bring in my wheeling and I'm going to place it by the side. Notice that I brought in an horizontal, I don't know if it's an horizontal container I brought in a vertical container, but whatever container you bring in, the first sheet just stays there. The next sheet you bring in determines what it's going to be. If I place it on top, it becomes a vertical container. And if I place it by the side, it becomes an horizontal container. So this is an horizontal container right now. I'm going to come here to hide the title. And now you can see that we have to go back to resize our stuff, right? So let's come here to resize. I like my donut chart to have some sort of, I like it to have width, like for the sides to show. Okay. Let me see if I can reduce that for reasons. Okay. Reasons to go for it. Okay. So now I'm going to bring in a blank because I want the space in between them to be more than this. So I'm just going to bring in this blank. And I'm going to try to reduce it a little, just so the space there is much. I want this space to be more than 32. So let's edit the width, maybe say 50. All right, I think 50 works. If I reduce it, will my 50 still be maintained? Okay, so I think my 50 will still be maintained. All right, we're done with this part. And I know I said I wasn't going to use padding, but I don't want to bring in a blank for what I want to do right now. I want to create a small space at the top. And so because I want to create a small space at the top, I'm just going to use padding to achieve that. It's just like a very small space, 15, right, at the top. Okay, no, that's not inner padding. That's supposed to be outer padding. I want to create an outer padding at the top. All right, so you can see that small space at the top right now. Yeah. All right. This other guy, I want the space to be so much, so I'm going to fix the height at 80. And we have this vertical container in here. So for this vertical container, I want to make this vertical container contain 2 different horizontal containers. But let's fix the height first. I think the height should be around 784 or so. I'm not sure. If we need to increase it, I will definitely have to go back to increase it. But I think it should be 784, maybe 758. All right, so we have this, and it's big, yeah. I'm going to come in with a sheet, which is like, the normal process we've been working with. Then I'm going to come in with an horizontal container, place it down. I have this horizontal container sitting pretty, yeah. Then I'm going to bring in a blank to create space, or I can actually bring in a blank or a text, whatever I want. I'm going to bring in a blank, and I'm going to bring in another horizontal container. I'm going to place that one on top of this guy over here. Then I'm going to take this one out because why not? All right. Now let's look at this. Let me look at the height. I already have like, the picture of what I want for the height. And this is 363. Let's make it 379. Let me see what this one is. Now I don't know if 379 will be able to accommodate the 2 of them, but let's see what happens. 363, 363, I can actually work with that. I'm going to reduce this to maybe 20 because I want it to be very small. Very small. This might not be small enough, but let's come here to background and let's click on more colors. Pick screen color. I'm going to pick this background color over here. Okay, so I think this is fine. I don't need outer padding, so I'm just going to make it 0 because I want it to look like it is dividing the sheet when it's not actually. So this is 373, and now this is fine. Now we're going to bring in pain point 1. We're going to bring in need 1 side by side, remember, and we're going to do the same thing for the chart beneath, pain point 2, and also bring in need 2. So I have this here, and I'm going to bring in a blank. I'm going to put a blank by the side because I want to bring in a shape. So I'm going to make this blank to be small. Let's say 71. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Place it by this side and edit the width 71. Click on OK. So this is what we have. I'm going to bring a blank again and place it at the middle because I need the space. I want the space to be at the middle. This looks pretty big. We can look at doing 100 or we can look at doing maybe 120 or 130. Yeah, so I think this works. 120. Okay, let's be sure that they are the same size. This is 525 and this over here is 525. So which means every other thing would fall in place. I'm going to come over here to add inner padding of 15 to the right because I don't want it starting too close. So I'm just going to make this 15 and I'm going to come over here to repeat the same process. Make this place 15. And this is what we have. So making it 15 is making this look this way, which means I might have to increase this to create space. And this is 541. I want it to be the same. I'm going to come here to edit width and make this one 541 also. So now they are the same spots, I believe. But this one feels cheated. This is 86 and this is 120. So I'm going to make this one 120. I just want them to look properly aligned. Wait though, my guy got reduced. So this is 508. Let's make this one 508. Okay, so I think this is perfect. You can see that they are looking properly aligned. And then we are over here, the last bulk. The upper one, we made it 80. So I'm also going to make this one 80, just to give us that space. All right, I'm going to come back here. And for this guy, I'm going to bring in advocacy and I'm going to place it inside. So when you have things to do, maybe probably you have things that would give you legends or stuff like that, and a blank comes in like this, it's always better to leave it so that all your blank comes in, and when you're done, you pick the one you want, you take out the ones you don't want. But I don't need this, and this is coming because I forgot to hide it, so I'm just going to take it out. Yes, I want to delete the container. Every other thing is back to normal, and this is what I have. Because this place has a kind of space, I'm also going to repeat the same thing by bringing in a blank. I'm placing it by the side, obviously. I'm going to make this 71. Yeah, so it looks exactly the same. Where are we? Okay. So it looks exactly the same. Now, this is what we have. Just take a look at this. We are almost done. The next thing I want to do is I want to bring in some things because I think this looks like blank. And I want it to pop. I want it to pop in a way that I probably when you see it, you would understand. So I went to PowerPoint. You can actually do this in you can do it in Canva, you can do it in Figma, you can do it anywhere, but I wanted something very easy. And I just came here to PowerPoint to do it. All I needed to do was bring in a circle shape. So this is a circle shape. Come here to insert, come here to shapes, bring in a circle. I brought in the circle. I'm always about, oh, is it properly aligned? Oh, is it not properly aligned? And stuff like that. So I had to come over here to shapes to make sure that, my circle is properly rounded. Shape format. So look at this is 084 and this is 085. I don't know, things like this don't sit well with me. So I rather make the two of them 99 so that everything is the same, right? And for the color, I just went to Tableau to copy the X code. And after copying the X code, I came back here to shape and to shape fill. Then I just changed the color and the color came like this. Inside, you can add a text to it. I added the text to it. And I like this Algerian font. I'm sure that this is Algerian. Yeah, this Algerian font is like one of my go-to fonts when I want to do funny things. So I just picked Algerian and gave it that size. Let me see, what size did I use? So this is size 40 just to make it big. And for this one, so this is just like that. I just right-clicked, then save as picture. Save as picture saves it to your downloads folder or whatever folder your laptop works with. And for this one, I had to download this shape from Flat Icons also. Let me just where is it? Yeah, over here. So I actually downloaded that from Flat Icons also. Where is it? I just kept all of these things open so I don't have to look for it over and over again. But yeah, I think I downloaded it from Flat Icons, and I think what I typed was people, something like that. People. I saw it, I liked it, and I downloaded it. Really, I can't find it right now, but I got it from Flat Icons, and I brought in the shape. So this is the shape. I just placed it in such a way that, it's going to fit into this place. Then I grouped it. Remember that the one underneath is the circle without the text. So do it this way. Come to picture format, come over here and group it. Grouping it makes it this way, and I can just right click and also save as picture. And then for this one, this is just an arrow. This is just an arrow I created from come here, insert shape and arrow, like any of these arrows, just click on it and make it what you want. For the color, I wanted something that is gray but not close to the background. So if you notice, now that this is clicked, if I come here to shape format and I come here to, is this shape outline, you notice different kinds. I tried this kind of white, it didn't work well for me. So I finally changed it to this particular light gray. And that's what we have over there. Then I downloaded it. I think this light gray is F5, F5, F5 also. And then I downloaded it and we can see it over here in my folder. Where is it? This is it. So we can see it right here. Just saved there. So now let's go back to Tableau and let's bring them in. Let's create magic. By bringing them in, okay. Remember that we've been using tiled all along. So I'm going to place this on floating and I'm going to bring in image. Bringing in image, comes this way. I'm going to make sure that my image is centered. I'm going to click on choose and I'm going to navigate to the particular place where it is. And I'm going to click on the first one, which is 1, and I'm going to click on OK. So I want the width to be very small. And some of these values I'm using are things that I've experimented with over time and have worked for me. So you can just do you. This is 60, width is 60, height is 60, and I'm placing it over here. Because I don't want to go over bringing shapes in again, I'm just going to come here to copy dashboard item and paste. I'm going to paste again. So making it 3, I'm going to bring this one down here to pain point. And I'm going to click on the drop down arrow, edit image, choose image, and I'm going to select 2. And I'm going to click on OK. So now let's look at it. This is 48 and 1090, and this guy is 47. I don't know, but the one makes a difference for me. So I've made the 2 of them 48, 48. Now for this one, let's move it down to where we want it to be, which is at this supporting advocacy guy. So I'm just going to bring it down here. And this is 44. I'm going to make sure it's 48, so it aligns with the ones above. Then I'm going to edit the image and I'm going to choose. Then I'm going to choose this particular image, which is exactly what I want. And I'm going to apply. And so this is what I have here. So down here, I forgot to bring in something. I forgot to bring in a blank down here. So I'm going to bring in a blank. I'm going to place this on tiled and I'm going to bring in a blank down here. I want it to be down, just down here. Okay, so you can see the way it's showing. That's what I want. So I'm going to come here and I would have to reduce it. Okay, so let's just reduce it to what we want. Okay, my hands are sweaty. Let me use my mouse. All right, so let's reduce it. And I think this works for me. So I'm going to bring in text. I'm supposed to place this back on floating. Then I'm going to bring in a text and let's navigate to my Word document. I'm going to copy these 2, even though I need one of it this time, but let's just copy these 2 so I don't need to come back here again. And I'm going to come here, I'm going to paste this over here. I'm going to take out this one because I don't need it here. I just need this first one. They're just saying that the data set was generated by ChatGPT to simulate responses from closed-ended survey. Then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to bring it down here and increase it this way. So this is still my font type. The font type I've been using, font size 8, and this second to the last black on the black block. I'm also going to bring in another text, and I'm going to paste the other one I copied. I'm going to align this one to the right because I want to place it on the right hand side. And I'm going to place it here. All right, we are almost done. Last but not the least is for me to bring in an image so that we can bring in our arrow. Where's the image? Where's the image? Okay, so this is the image. So I'm bringing in the image and I'm going to center it. I just like to center it. And I'm going to bring in an arrow, depending on what you're doing anyways. So I'm going to reduce this. I want it to be big somehow, and I don't want it to, so let's keep increasing it. Okay, so I think this works, and I'm going to place it at the middle. So it's showing that pain points moving to solutions. Now let's copy this. And I'm still going to hold this because I don't want it to paste anywhere else apart from on this point. Then I'm going to also make sure it's at the middle. Let's just look at it. 580. Where is this one on? 580. And where is this one on? So let's make it 580 so like they are aligned together. All right. 580 does not align it. What's the problem? I don't know on the same point. This is 508 and this is 508. Really? I don't know why that just happened, but let's just make sure that this works. 607. Okay. Now that that's not working for me, I probably would just want to show my grid to make sure that. So I think for some reasons, it will not be possible for me to have them like that because this guy went inside and this guy came outside. So what I can do is I can reduce it this way. So it's inside this box, right? This way. What's this? This is 144. And let's also make this 144. Okay, so now that it's 144, where is this one on? 623. Now I can also make this one 623. All right, now they are aligned. Let me come back here to my dashboard and remove my grid. So we are done with creating the light theme. I'm just going to speed through creating the dark theme. The dark theme is just the same thing with what we have done, just making everything black. Let me see. I hope I still have time. Okay, so I still have like roughly 18 minutes. Let's see what we can do in 18 minutes. So I'm going to duplicate this dashboard over here, and I'm going to name this dark. Naming this dark, I'm going to come here to dashboard and I'm going to bring in navigation. Remember that this is still on floating. So navigation is just showing as ash. And the reason why it's showing this way is because it's not linked to anything. But I want this to be linked to the light themed dashboard. So I'm just going to come here to search for lights and let's just type it out. Light. Okay, so this is light background. I'm going to make the background none. Title. I don't need title. I want to use image. So how did I get this image? Same place. Flat icons, right? I think I searched for toggle, right? I searched for toggle. I saw this. They were about the same, but I needed something facing the other side. So I picked this, and they're about the same. But this one is black. So I wanted it to be white. I was good with this. I wanted this to be white, so I had to edit it. Of course, I'm signed in. I had to edit it, come here to the color and just played around with it. I think this was the color I eventually went with. Then I downloaded it, right? Just download. And that was what I did. So let me come back to Tableau. So now I'm using image and you can see that the images are here already. This is on dark. So that's what it's going to be. And I'm just going to say, click to see light mode. All right, click to see light mode. And we have this over here. Now look at how this is showing. I'm just going to keep it this way. If I come here to my presentation mode and I click on this, it brings me to light mode, but light mode cannot take me back to dark mode. So we're going to have to fix that, right? I'm going to come here to copy this, and I'm going to come here to lights. I'm definitely going to paste Control V, and this is what is here. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to say this one should navigate to the black. Of course, we are using image, and this is the image we are using. This time around, it will be click to see dark mode. Okay, right now I'm running on a timer, 10 more minutes to be done. Okay, so this is done, and I really like what I am seeing. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come here to black. We're on black, right? I'm going to click out here, and I want to change the background color. So I'm going to go with this as my background color. And 69 is way too far for me, so I'm going to make it 98. I want it to be black, but I want it to be away from black a little. I really don't know how to explain it, but that's why the opacity is not so much. So I'm going to come here to click on the horizontal container, and I'm going to make all my whites black this way. So you can see the reason why I removed the worksheet color. Removing the worksheet color, this is what it gives me. Now, when you look at it, you would actually feel like there's no difference. Until you look at it closely, then you would know that there's a difference. I really don't know if my screen is on the lightest. I think it is on the brightest already. Okay, it's on the brightest already. So we're going to repeat the same thing for this guy. So let's select the vertical container, and we are going with black. Now this is white. We don't want it to be white. Of course, we want it to take the shade of the guy at the bottom. So I'm just going to click on this and click OK. Now you would see that there's a separation there. And we're going to do the same thing for this guy. I'm just going to click on the horizontal container, and I'm going to make this black. That's black we've been working with. So now that this is done, I'm going to have to come here to duplicate all my sheets. So I'm duplicating all my sheets. So there are other ways to do this. You can configure your palette to do that. Probably use dynamic zone, but I'm going the easy route for us, and since our worksheet is not so much. So I've done this, and I have several of them. I want to be able to distinguish between what I want to put on my dark theme V's and what's already on the light theme V's. So I'm coming here to my light theme dashboard, and I'm saying hide all sheets. So hiding all sheets leaves me with just this guy. I'm going to come here to center, and for the color, I'm going to pick the color we are working with. I'm going to come here to my label, and I would have to place this on this color so it shows. Okay, so let's apply, and this works. I'm going to do the same thing for wheeling. Place it on color black, come here to label, come here, place this on this light shade. Okay, so for reasons, what exactly am I doing for reasons? I don't know yet. So let me come here. Okay, I need to do that for advocacy also. So come here to advocacy. My green stance, I'm just going to make this one light. Apply. Okay, so let's come here to dark mode. And nothing is changing yet because the V's is still, what we have here is still what we have on the light themed V's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap it. I think Bola showed us how to use this also. So just click on this swap, and it swaps it for you. And this is the beauty of Tableau. Most often than not, it keeps your formatting for you. You don't have to do a whole lot. So you can see this. It just keeps it for you, right? I title. So I'm going to come here. This is reasons, and I'm just swapping it. I think there was no reason to swap reasons. Okay, I'm going to do that. I think this is too dark. So let's swap. And let's come here. Let's need one. Let's swap. Let's come here. Let's swap. And let's come here and let's swap. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for advocacy. Let's come here and let's swap. Right. So I'm going to click this guy, and I'm going to come here to format. I'm going to make sure that it's on this light one, so it's, visible to the eyes. Then I'm going to do the same thing for this guy also, format it. Let's do the same thing for this guy. All right, we're almost there. Let's do the same thing for this guy. And let's do the same thing for this guy. And I believe that we are done. Okay, so I saw the shakings, I saw the movings. I think this moved. I think it was 508 we were working with before now. All right, I'm just going to come here to change it to 508. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing to this guy. All right, so I think now everything is okay, so let's come over here and let's see. This brings me to light and this brings me to dark. I'm going to come here and I'm going to hide all sheets. The last thing I'm going to do is this white stuff by the side. I don't want it. So I'm going to come here to outer padding and take out the 0, take out the padding. Then I'm also going to come here and I'm also going to take out the padding. I left the padding before now. So the black is fully, the green is fully covering it. I'm going to repeat the same thing for white. I think white can pass, but let's just do the same thing. So we are on the safe side. I'm also going to come here and I'm also going to make the 0. One last thing I want to check before I post this is -24 and this is 12. And over here, this is -22. So I'm just very critical about little things like this. So that's -12. All right. Are they the same? Let's just confirm from here. Okay, so it is the same. And I'm going to publish it on my dark mode. So okay, I can't publish it yet. I'm going to publish it later. I'm going to publish this later. I hope it will not publish. I'm going to publish this later. All right, so I am done, and this is what we have. We have the light theme. Okay, so I think I need to move this one up a little. My stuff moved, so let's just move it up a little to make sure that it's properly aligned. Okay, and that's fine. And this is also fine. I didn't even notice when they moved, so let's just move it up. That's also fine. I'll probably take the extra paint to make sure that everything is aligned like I've been doing. So I just want to fix this before we are done. All right, I can stop sharing now. And we are done. Do I have any questions? Okay, so do I have a question? Kolawole, do I have a question? Place it, put it on the, okay, you want to
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon or good evening. Sorry. Thanks for the lesson so far. So quickly, I should be asking like 2 questions, but the first is for the framework. I still not get the name of the site. I think I had Escalator in the last dashboard. That was last week Saturday, and I tried browsing the site. I couldn't get anything. So I don't know if you can help us with the name, and then also maybe if you can put it on your screen so that we can get that very well. So I think that's my first question. Then the second question, because I chatted Mr. Bola on top as regards it, but then I keep having the same issue. I noticed that when I published my the dashboards that I built, that was for last week, I noticed that I used the same axis that was used, but I noticed that immediately I publish it, there's always this kind of disarrangement once I publish it to the Tableau cloud kind of. So there's always this disarrangement. Maybe the text should break down, the what's it called should cut, like the numbers should cut. Whereas on my normal dashboard, they are not like that. I just had to like publish over and over and over editing. And so I want to know what exactly is causing that so that subsequently I can take note of it. So those are my two questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so most times what I do to avert such is to make sure that my dashboard size is on fixed. So when it's on fixed, and that's why it's always also advisable to use tiled. When it's on fixed and it's on tiled, it will not shake. The only thing that can shake would be the floating objects. And for the floating objects, when they shake after I have published, what I do is I just edit them.
Accountability partner like this.
I just edit them on Tableau Web Authority. So when you publish to Tableau, you can easily edit your Vs and you can edit it there on Tableau Public. The way it is there on Tableau Public, when you publish it, it won't move. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, I think you've answered the first one. I will go and check that. Then it remains the first one. The first one concerning the.
I posted it on the
software.
chat. Escalidraw.com.
All right, I'll check it there. Thank you very much.
How do you do a fixed size dashboard? Okay, so for a fixed size dashboard, okay, let me share my screen again. Fixed size dashboard comes from, look at this, over on this point where you have size, you can choose fixed, you can choose automatic, and you can choose range. But I always like to go with fixed. So wherever my dashboard is displayed on, whether it's displayed on a small screen or on a large screen, it would always maintain this size. Another thing I want to do is to make sure that I delete phone layouts. Once I delete phone layout, what would happen is even if it's viewed on the phone, it will not break. Everything will look exactly the way it is on my PC. Okay, so do we have any other question? Thank you. Okay, so if we don't have any other question, in the absence of any other question, I believe we can call it a day. Thank you all for coming for today's session.
Because please, how can we get the link for the data set for last weekend? I couldn't get the one for second class.
It's always in the email sent.
Okay, I'll double check that.
Yes, it's always in the email sent. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we continue tomorrow.
Tomorrow is next class, but
yes, by 5 p.m.
Okay.
And we'll be having Toby. Toby will be showing us how to create his health dashboard, and that health dashboard is a VOCD dashboard, a vis of the day dashboard. So you definitely don't want to miss it. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.